Hello everyone. Thank you, Chanel. Hello, everybody. My name is Leigh Ralston. Good afternoon. I'm also known as Mommy Leigh on the internet, and it's nice to see some familiar names in here. Hello, everybody. It is Wednesday once again, and we are here for another fun hour of class with Faber-Castell and Michaels. And spring is here. You know, we have blooms all over. I think we're getting some nice weather. But Arkansas sometimes could be a little difficult. Sometimes we get cold and then we get rain and then it's super hot. But lately it's been very nice. So I hope that you're all doing well, staying healthy. And we would like to thank everybody for being here with us. Once again, if you are new to our class, I do many different classes. We have cute stuff, we have kawaii, we have florals, lettering and doodling. And today's class is a mix of both. So we'll be doing some creative lettering and also a little bit of doodles. It's perfect for spring, perfect for Easter. But again, like always, whatever it is that we're going to learn today, you can always apply this in other projects. So it doesn't have to be this particular lettering, you can create your own, but I think it's very important to understand the basic. So you can experiment and then develop and grow as you go. So I'm going to move over to the head over camera and we can get this class started. Here we go. Today's class, I will be using some Faber-Castell Polychromos pencil and also Faber-Castell's PITT Artist pens. I'm also going to be using some Strathmore marker pad. If you don't have it, this particular one, it's okay. If you have just regular paper, it's okay. But I like to talk about the importance of having good paper also when you're working with the PITT Artist pens. Okay, and so I just want to take a moment to say hello to everybody. We have Marianne, we have Judith. I can't see. Hello, hi T, hi Mary. All right, so here we go. This is what we're going to be working. This is going to be what we're going to be doing and going to be working with some markers and pencil. Now the pencil is a little bit of extra steps, but I have been loving adding some pencil textures in my illustration lately. Even if I'm using like watercolor first for my base, and then I love to add some pencil textures. And also the Polychromos, let's talk a little bit about these pencils. These are oil based. There's a little bit of wax for that soft and creaminess there, but mostly they're oil. So you can work with the Polychromos and then add some watercolors on top of it because it is water-based. So your first sketches or your initial illustration will not budge. So I love working with the Polychromos to use it with watercolor as well, whether it's after or before the watercolors. Those work great. Now for the PITT Artist pens, I did include all the colors that we'll be working with today, but I have a few colors in here. As you can see, we have some pink, perfect spring palette in here. I love all the colors. These are brush tips. Remember, as I was saying earlier, if you're using a copy paper, it's okay. But really, if you want your pens and your markers to last you, I think you should really consider choosing some smooth surface paper because these are brush pens. And when you work with brush pens, there's that pointy tip and the whole base, right? If you're going to be using it for lettering, you understand that you'll be playing with your pressure, the pressure that you apply when lettering or when drawing. And even when I'm doodling, I do like to have that thin and thick lines as well. So I apply pressure. That means I'm really putting on pressure when I'm drawing to get the thick paper. And when I'm using a surface paper, it can get a little rough for the brush pen. So to make it last, think of some smooth paper that will your life of your marker will depend on the type of paper that you're using. Now, not all copy paper are bad. For example, this one is a hammer mill. I think it's a 32 pound. It's very smooth. As you can see, it's really white. So if you just want like scratch and you just want to practice, I think this is a good one. Also, an HP LaserJet paper is good as well. And so those are not expensive. And there's also a lot of marker pads that has smooth surface that's also inexpensive. So you can check out your local Michaels for some of those. All right, so now that we talked about our materials, I'm super excited to get started. All right, I'm gonna be working with some pencil first, erasers, because they are good. They're my best friends. Okay, so the type of lettering that we're doing, I think we actually did a class about the, I think I like to call this block alpha lettering. So as you can see, it's very straight edges. You know, there's not a lot of roundiness in here. So you'll get like square edges in here, straight ones. And again, whatever you're going to learn today, when you learn the basic, you can really just play around with this type of lettering. I think you're going to enjoy it. Right. The first things first we want to understand is when we're doing some sort of lettering, we want to visualize and analyze your paper in here. So if you don't see this in your head yet, right? So you just have a white blank paper. And this is always the most overwhelming part, is seeing a blank paper like this. You're like, well, I don't know what to do now. So, but because we have an idea of what we're going to do today, you're kind of like getting comfortable. But what if you don't know what you're doing and you want to start from scratch? What I like to do is always put a line in the center, put a cross actually, so I can find my middle center like that. So very lightly, I would sketch. And this helps me. Okay, the white paper is now gone. Now there's a cross in here. And so that fear of the white canvas or that blank paper is now gone, right? So when I am working in a quote, really, I would start with small boxes, but you know, that takes a while. And usually that's what we do when we're taking premium classes. We really go into step by step. But since our time is limited, I want to go jump into the whole idea, but still learning the basic of what we need to learn. Now we have the words some, and then Bunny loves you. And so I'm just going to write it plain, how I would write it. So I would write it some. Okay, I want the bunny to be a drawing of a bunny. So I'll just draw that there. And then NNY. Okay. And then when you're doing some sort of creative lettering, hand lettering, what I would like you to really consider and look at is play around with your letters. Some may be all capital, some may be all small alphabet, you know, and some may be in print. And consider other words to be using a script type, you know, so play around with it to make it look very interesting. So here we have some bunny loves you, right? I'm like, okay, now looking at my sketch, I know that I want to adjust my letter B in here. And so that's why it's very important to use some pencil first and erasers, because then you can adjust and you're not married to an idea or committed to just one style. And when you're sketching, try to sketch as light as possible. All right, here we go. And I know I want to adjust my NNY in here and give it a little space. So what we're doing here, this first sketch that we did, we're actually building the skeleton for our lettering piece. Okay, so this is the basic. This is the skeleton of all the letters. Now, looking at it, visualize it and see what you can adjust from here. I know that my sum, I really want to put this in the middle. So I know I need to adjust my letters, right? So I'll start with the E. I know I need to adjust this. Notice how all my letters have some spaces in between, because this is the skeleton. That means we're going to add the framing to it, right? Look at this. So I didn't write it just SOME. I started with this basic. Now this is the skeleton. What are we going to do? We're going to have to frame each letter, right? And when I say frame, we're going to add 2 strokes in between the skeleton. Now, when I was first learning this style of lettering, what my mistake was, I was just adding one side. For example, here, I would add here. And then I would close it in already. Right, so that was my mistake. And I don't want you to make that mistake. This is a much better way to do it because you have a better balance weight. Actually, you'll have a balance weight on both sides of each letter. So that was our skeleton. Now we're going to add one here. I'm going to add that, the one that I erased. I'll add one here on the right side of each stroke first. Okay, and then I'll add one to the left again. I'm just following this. Right. So this was our first initial sketch. That was the skeleton that we created. Now we're going to close it in. Right. And let me erase the middle part so just you can visualize and see the whole letter now. There. Now you have a much balanced space in between, and you have a much more proportioned letter here. So now look at on my O, if I'm going to have to add another stroke outside, I know that I might not have enough space, but sometimes it's okay to have your letters all together. So I'm going to add one on the outside. I'm going to leave some space for my M because I know I'm going to add one more stroke over there, and I'll do the other. I'll add that on the inside. And I'm going to go ahead and move along a little faster, follow along what I'm doing, and I'll talk to you guys about my process while I'm doing this. So we're still adding 2 strokes, right? This one I know, oh, that is looking at your spaces in between. Now I know that I'm going to have to adjust my letter E for sure, because then I'm going to have really big space. So I'll have my E like that. All right, now I'll add the outside stroke, like that, and this, go out there, and then close this one in. Then I'm going to add in the middle part. All right. So if you like, you can go erase as you go along, because sometimes it's easier to kind of like look at the whole picture. So I'm just going to erase slightly as I'm moving along. So now I can have my whole letter E. There we go. All right. Now for the word bunny, we'll be doing the same thing, okay? So we'll just adding 2, we're gonna frame each of the skeleton that we have here. Great. I do have a vacuum for my eraser suds. This is really good. My daughter got me this for Christmas. And it's so helpful. Now, add my stroke outside here, and like this. Over here on the inside, like that. Now for the bunny, I'm not doing anything for my bunny. I'm just going to adjust my doodle later. For the N, back, this. So frame your skeleton, and like that. I'll do the same thing. The letter N. Like that. Now you feel like you want to adjust your initial sketch because that's the frame, that's the skeleton, but also that's the style of the letter that you're going to use. So I didn't like that, this type of Y. I really want to have like a letter U first and then have this, oops, I think that's a little too wide, but this is the style of Y that I like. So I'm going to change it. I changed it, and now I'm just going to add my framing here. Back up, add my here, that, and then close it in. All right. Now, for the script, if you did a little bit of script, it's the same. You're going to be doing the same thing. But the little tricky part for the script is the spacing. So look at my letters. I know this one is going to touch my letter N because if I add, here, might not, but it's too close. Do I like that? Maybe not. So I'm going to have to adjust it. That's why it's important to really use pencil first. Okay, here we go. Now I'll add it here. Here we go. I like to start with the bottom. I think it gives me a much more better flow. But then again, that's always just a personal preference. You might feel like, you know what, I have a much better flow when I just start from the top, adding your stroke there. But to me, I feel like the bottom is always much easier for some reason. I don't know why also, but maybe it's just, that's the way I've been doing it. So it just felt so natural. Right, and then I'm going to start adding my frame in here. This. So basically, we're just closing those letters in there. Okay. Like that. And then the ones that has the tiny holes, we're just going to add those holes inside. Like that. For the letter E also. This. Right? Then we'll do the word U. That. This. I guess I didn't connect my letter Y and my letter O. It's okay. That. That. There we have it. And then just add my little hole in there. Okay. Now I'm just going to clean up my sketch. If you're done adding your frame as well, then you can start cleaning up your sketch and adjust as you go. If you feel like, oh, this one is too close to one another, there's not enough space in between, then, you can adjust, like my letter M and my letter E. I feel like I don't have enough space, or I feel like they're not close enough actually, because the rest are so close to one another. So just adjusting as I'm going along. Okay. And also with my letter S, this is a time where I can play with the style. I feel like I want to add like a loop in here. So if I add a loop, what is it going to look like? So I'll start with the basic again. I'll start with a skeleton. I'm going to pretend that there's a skeleton in there. So I'm just adding this here. I'm going to see, I might regret this. I'm already regretting it because now I'm confused. Let's do this again. I'm definitely confused. That's not the way. I'm going to start with a skeleton. See what I mean? When you start with a skeleton like that, it's so much easier because now I'm just going to adjust my S. Okay, now I have a much better idea here. I'll zoom in so you guys can see. So we'll start in the bottom again. Do here. Okay. I'll do on the inside part. Like that. So then I'll definitely need This one will close it. Now I'm weirded out. Why? With my thing. Oh, it's not looking good in my eyes. I'm just going to stick to what we did. Tell me I'm not the only one who does these things. Where I feel like I'm going to adjust something and then just went back to the original idea. Here we go. All right. Just gonna erase all the inside marks. And then I'll work on my bunny. Now with my little bunny, it's very simple. It's a kawaii style. With kawaii style, everything is on the chubby side. You want to have like really round shapes. The basic shapes would be really round. Have to add like here. Round shapes. And you can always change yours. If you like a much more longer ears, then, you know, certainly you can change that. Or if you just wanted to do a letter U instead of a bunny head, but I think it's super cute. You can create a card using this type of lettering. You can frame one and gift it to, you know, a loved one. Those are always great ideas for DIY. Okay, now that I have it semi-clean, I am going to start erasing using my kneadable eraser. I love using the kneadable eraser to leave a perfect silhouette for my lettering. This gives me enough guide. So because you don't really want to erase the whole thing, you just want a perfect silhouette before you start adding your final touches and your colors or, you know, your final line art in there. So I think the kneadable eraser is really great for that. And it's also, there's no eraser suds. You can always erase it like this also, but you know, there's no mess. I just love it. And if there are some parts where some are darker than the other, you just kind of go over with your eraser and do that. Now, if you get some black marks, that means you're going to have to do this. So that's how you're going to clean those black marks of your eraser. So it's kind of like therapeutic at the same time. Super fun to do this like that. There. Now we can start adding some line art, because before we start cleaning up, I guess I didn't use my marker pad, didn't I? I'm just using a regular hammer mill copy paper in here. Oh well, I have it here ready. Okay, so for my line art, you can choose to use your Polychromos pencil. You can, I actually have one here. This is the Indanthrene Blue 247, but notice that this one is letter S. This is the super fine, this one. So this is perfect for adding some line art, details, and all that. So this is what I'll be working on. Now you don't have to, we can work with our Polychromos. The blue violet is a good one to create the line art as well. I think this color will look nice with the rest of the colors that we'll be working with. I think I did some pencils in here. Yes, absolutely, Veronica. Yeah, you can use your mixed media dry. Yes, I actually like using the mixed media paper also because it's slightly textured. And so when I am applying the pencil mark, look at what I'm doing. When I'm applying the pencil marks, it just gives me this beautiful texture. So yes, mixed media paper is one of my favorite as well. So you know what? if you guys don't have the super fine, let's work with the pencil that we have. I think that's what we have in our list. Yes, Mary, yes, absolutely. 005. I think that's the extra super fine. I'm not sure. Miss Krista might know that if it's 005, that it's really super fine like this. Because we have the extra super fine, which is much, much smaller than that. You can barely see it probably. Why is the other paper special? Which paper, my dear, the mixed media? Well, I think what's happening is that sometimes I want to work with a mixed media that is a much smoother surface because every paper is different, really. You can work with one mixed media paper, you can work with two mixed media paper, and this one is slightly textured, and then the other would be much more smoother. I would always go for the smoother part if I know that I'll be working with my brush pens because I don't want to ruin my brush tips so easily. And so that's why I always choose the much softer paper. Yes. Okay. All right. So now we'll do our line art. Just follow all the that's that framing that we created earlier. So I'm just, and also an extra tip, you want to sharpen your pencil. And this is where Polychromos are really superior than the other pencils because Polychromos can keep their fine tip for a very long time. And I love using it. With other pencil, I can go through maybe 3 letters in here and I'll end up frustrated because the tip will not be fine anymore. Then I have to sharpen, then you keep, using more. I feel like I'm wasting every time I would sharpen. So this one keeps the point super fine. I love using it for fine details like this. And if you're using it for coloring, I think you're going to love it because you can really get into like small areas so easily. And I love them. Here we go. That. I'll work on the bunny last after all my line art because I think I want to adjust my doodle. And also, when you're working with your final line art like this, if you feel like you still want to adjust some things as you go along, this is the perfect time to do that, because now when you apply a marker or, the colored pencil, it will be very, very hard to erase it. So make sure that when you're adjusting things from your basic sketch, make sure that that's it because that will be your final decision, last chance, basically. Unless you're still using a pencil. But in this case, I will need a special eraser to erase this colored pencil mark. So I'm just being careful and making sure that all my adjustments, because I don't know about you, sometimes I can never do the same exact thing as my initial sketch. I don't know what you call it. Look at this. My tip is still very pointy. Again, that's just amazing to me. I think the adjustment that I'm doing after my sketch is kind of like, okay, I feel like this circle is too small. I want to add a little bit more weight to this letter. Those are just the basic adjustments that I'm doing. Like this one, I know that I kind of like, ooh, this one is messed up. So I'm going to have to adjust that later with our coloring, the way we would color that, and then we can get away with that. Here we go. And notice how, look at this, how I flared up some of the ends of my letter, like the letter U and the letter Y. It's kind of like it's not straight. So those are just the little things that you want to add, like, you know, your own personal touch. If you want it a little more on the rounder side, then please, by all means, always experiment. You don't always have to, if I say this is going to be this way, because yours is always going to look different no matter what, because we are all special and unique that way. It's just really amazing. Sometimes we're all doing the same exact thing, but as artists, as creative, and we have that in us, you know, so everything's looking different. So adjust if you must, please. Okay, for our bunny, look how very simple this shape is. I mean, we're just going to draw a little wider oval, and the two bunny ears. Again, you can make it more squarish if you'd like. You can make it short or longer, but I think this one is just super cute, just perfect roundiness. I like it. And then you can play around with the eyes, make yours with lashes, you know, and all that fun stuff that you want to add to your bunny. But I think I'm going to keep with that very simple shape. So I'm going to start with the basic shape, a little oval. This. I'm going to add my ears. That. I'm just copying the shape of the ear and just adding a smaller inside. That. If you want your eyes to look like happy, squinting, that. And then you can add like a tiny nose this way. And then one line in the middle. You can choose to add like this, if you like. You can add one tooth. It's super cute. As you can see, we're just adjusting everything and we're just like adding things and make it cute. You can add a bow, you know, we can add a blush later on, but basically this is what I want. I'm happy with that. So again, perfect silhouette. I'm just going to go over it with my kneadable eraser. Then I will use my Polychromos again. Start with my ears. This. See, notice how I'm doing my stroke. I'm just not doing one shape at one time because I feel like sometimes I know I'm going to mess up. So I just go little by little. As long as I have my basic sketch, I know where I'm going. That helps me out a whole lot. So don't feel like you have to complete the whole, for example, oval shape at one time. I'll add my eyes. Add my nose. Okay, I think I'm going to stick with that. I think I want to add a tooth. And then now is the time to thoroughly clean up your sketch and we'll add some colors. I feel like my S is super wonky over here. What happened to that? It's so weird. It's looking a little funny. Okay. Here we go. Yeah, that S is something else. I'm gonna have to adjust that later. Here we go. So we can start adding colors. Again, the colored pencil is very optional. You can skip that one. You can just, use your PITT artist pens. But I'm gonna go move a little faster so we don't run out of time. Okay, just clean up a little bit. Okay, so when I'm working with markers like this, and I know I have a much bigger space to color, I like to work in portion, and it also gives me a certain texture. Now, if you want to avoid that texture, you might want to work on much bigger areas like this. For example, if you want to color this way. Me, I like to work on really small portion like this. I'm going to zoom in just a little bit so you guys can see. Oh, Mary, that is really, really nice to hear. Thank you so much. This is the colored one. This is what I created for this one. So as you can see, can you know, do you notice a little bit of that? I'm sorry, my camera is being wonky today. It has a little bit of that textured because that is where I worked in portions. Okay, so I'm gonna repeat the same thing so you guys can see here. All right. Now I don't know how this is gonna, it's gonna eat all my juice, my ink, because I'm working on a regular copy paper. And that's why if this is a marker pad, it will keep the ink a little bit wet so you have enough time to move around your ink. Since this is a copy paper, even though it's very smooth in texture, it is still copy paper. It's not a specialty paper. So right now I'm having some regrets. A little bit of regrets, just a little bit. You know, Mary, even with different style of lettering, like what you said, you can always experiment in your style, and there's no wrong or no right. If you wanted your, letter S to be, I don't know, to be smaller than the rest of the letters in the word some, then that's okay. No one's going to tell you that that's wrong, because that is your art, and that's how you express things. And so play around with it. Don't be afraid to experiment. Here you go. Again, if you didn't want this small textures that I'm creating here, then you might want to work on much bigger portions like this, like that. But me, I'm really doing this in purpose because it's been what I've loving lately, that textured look. And I'm even going to add some pencil textures here later. I'm trying not to go outside my lines, but sometimes it is not the easiest, especially when you're working in small areas. But I think that's what the advantage of having a brush pen is, that, using the point of or the tip of your brush, you can really get into that much smaller areas in there. Like that. You can also do flicking motion if you have enough control, so that's another good way to color. And that's also not having so much pressure um, will be, you're being much kinder to your hand. Me, naturally, I have heavy hand. I know you hear this a lot. If you've attended a lot of my classes, then I always say this because I do have naturally heavy hands. I get so tired. So practice to have light pressure so you can create more fun art longer. But I'm practicing and I'm trying. Yes, yes, B is the brush. Yes, it is my favorite also. I think brush and the superfine are my two favorite tips of the PITT artist for now. For now. Okay, I'm gonna go switch over to my other color. This is the 132 or the beige red. And I'll repeat that in small areas. Last premium class that we did, we learned how to blend with the PITT artist pen. So sorry guys if you missed that. Again, that took a specialty paper. Now this time I'm using a copy paper. Silly me. Sometimes, you know, when my brain is like discombobulated, but I'm like trying to work on something and then also explaining at the same time and then creating, and then you're kind of like doing one thing. You're like, what was I doing again? Yep, definitely. There was one of those moments. All right, for the bunny, I think I'm going to keep it really plain and simple, like what we did in the original. What I did in my original is I just added color to the ears and then left everything else plain. But because I wanted my bunny to be white. But another trick that I like doing is using a very, very light blue around my bunny. And this is really going to give that visual that our bunny is color white. And so I'm just trying to clean up the sketches. I guess I didn't clean up well. Just do that. So I'm going to use our light indigo. This is 220. And so I'm just going around my bunny like this. And again, this paper is not so good. Because one thing you're going to have, you will learn about different types of paper. It gives different results. You know, if you're working with different media, if you're using a different type of inks, like the PITT artist pens are India ink. And I really love the India ink because they are extremely light fast. They also dry fast. They don't have yucky smell. I love how vibrant the colors are. And I love the brush tip because it is so very flexible. It's just such an amazing tool, brush pen in particular, because you can do so much with it. You can create so much. And I'm just going to add some blush in here. I mean, just look at the color of how different the colors are. I'm using two different paper. You might not be able to see it, but look how dark the color is in this regular copy paper and how light the color is using this mixed media paper. So it's just the way it would sink in and the way it would dry on top of the paper will be very different. And, you know, I think it's nice to play around with that, you know, other than your markers and inks. I think it's nice to understand the type of surface that you're working on. And so that's how you're going to learn, oh, you know what, this one doesn't work for this one looks better for this one. And so it's part of your growth and learning. So play around with different types of paper and get different results each time. So to me, look, I'm adding really textures in here. I like that. Small portions. That. The first color that I used was the Pink Matter Lake 129. This beautiful pink color in here. Honestly, working on this copy paper gave me more textured from the markers. That I might not even have to add some textures from the pencil, but I can also smoothen it out with a pencil. So if that's what you're hoping for as well, if you love that smooth blended look, then adding some of those polychromos by adding a soft layer, a very light layer of that one, and then gradually just adding more colors, you're going to burnish those colored pencils and you're going to create a much softer look. Oop, of course I went over the line. Here we go. Now my next color would be the Crimson 134. Okay, just adjust this one. Okay, I need to work a little faster. Also, I might want to add, when you're using the PITT Artist pens, for example, you're like, it was too late for you to learn that, oh man, I should have used a much softer, smooth surface of a paper. If you feel like you've already ruined the tip of your brush pens, don't worry, because not a whole lot of people are sharing this on YouTube. Look at this tip, right? You can always just, of course, get a get a tweezer or something before you pull it out. I don't have any tweezer, but you can flip it, and then so it's like having two nibs in one pen. So you get an extra nib in there. So just flip it and then use the much fresher one. I don't think I can work on this much slower. I don't know why I'm working so slow today. But notice that even when I'm like adding textures, I'm still going one direction also. Now that's just how I want to do it. Sometimes with the colored pencils, I would go crisscross applesauce. I really don't mind having like different strokes of pencil. It's like going all over the place, but the more it's like wonky looking with the textures, the more I love it. Like this one, you can do it with the markers too. Like if I'm going horizontally, then I'll go vertical, it just gives this different look. That's that surfaced textured look. And notice when I did the flicking also, it just gives you a different, certain type of look. Now that's fun to use for fur, for hair. Those are great techniques for that. When you're flicking your pen and you're using just the tip of your brush pen and you're really going light and just doing a flicking motion, it will give you that outcome and result. Okay, I'm going to go a little faster. Also, I think this is the perfect chance and timing to invite everyone that our last workshop for this month will be doing a premium class. And actually, we'll be doing a creative lettering and doodling as well. And we'll be doing this fun block alpha style, but we'll be going through each letter because, like what I said, sometimes it's nice to see examples of these letter because the way you would probably write your alphabet is very different than how I would mine, but it just gives you that creative freedom as well. Uh, at the same time, having that great inspiration of that basic composition of the letters and say, oh, you know what? I never thought of making it that way. So I think having that sample, and I know personally, I love seeing samples like that myself. So that will be on April. I can't remember. I think we have it April 27. There we go. And that's a Wednesday as well. All right. Last one will be Cobalt Green 156. Yeah, definitely don't use as copy paper when you want to work on a much better final artwork, because I personally, I am not super happy with how this ink is drying on this regular hammer mill. It's good for just practice, but if you want to, you know, really create a project, an illustration that you know you're going to give to someone or you're going to frame it, then I think I will invest in a much better type of paper, like a marker pad paper. And notice that I adjusted my letter S. Remember, it was a little wonky. And so when it was time for me to color, I was able to adjust some of my lines and then fill in some of the areas where it needed more weight over here. So I just kind of added more colors in there, and that worked out. And of course, what is spring without some flowers? That will be our next step in here, is we're going to add some flowers all around. I will be using my Pink Madder Lake and also the permanent green olive for the leaves. Now I want you to play with the type of flowers that you'll be working on. I love the simple kawaii style. Very, very simple, but I think it's perfect for the lettering because I want the whole lettering to be the focal. And so we're just adding those flowers in here just to kind of like add some details and add more visual um, interest. And of course, it's spring. It just gives that spring feeling in here when you have florals, you know, or you can do just some eucalyptus style leaves, not add florals to it. But then again, that choice is up to you. Mine is just an idea. You can always do whatever you please. All right. Now I'm going to add the florals first, just in case we run out of time. I know we're running out of time already. I don't like this. So I'm just going to do my florals this way. I always start with that circle, right? And then adding my petals. 1, 2, look, just adding like letter C's in here or half circles in here. And just like that. And then fill in space inside like this. Okay. And then I'm just going to scatter my flowers all around. So some will be smaller than the others, and then some will be maybe a little bit larger than the others. So play around with the sizes. And that alone will just add more visual interest in your piece, in your lettering, or in your project. So this one is a little bit larger than the rest, but I stick to 5 petals in here. So I think in kawaii style, it's really 5, limited to 5 to 6. So very minimal. Everything's like using minimal shapes, you know, to keep it very simple. And I think that's what I love about the kawaii style. It's just so simple, so easy. And at the same time, I really love the results. And just to let you know that, you know, people are not doing realistic paintings, are not less of an artist than the ones that does all the realistic drawings. It's just different styles. So you just choose whichever one you like. And again, there's no wrong and no right. All right, so now I have my flowers. I feel like I'm missing one here. So, and see how I scattered my florals all around, even though it is scattered and even though it looks like it's just, you know, has not been planned. But I think the weight to it, it's like looking at it, is it balanced? Does it need on, you know, need more on this side or the other? And so every single time you create something, you want to pause and then analyze your whole piece. Does it come together as a whole? And that's how you're gonna know and understand, okay, I'm okay with that, you know. So maybe it needs a little bit here, maybe it needs a little bit there, but just kind of like pause, look at it again, and then say, all right, I needs more here. Now I'm just gonna add some leaves, and I'm sticking with just 2 leaves like this, very simple, basic shape leaves. I mean, nothing special about it, but look how cute it works. It just works. I love that. That. Okay. And so now I'm just going to add some details to this. I'm just going to go in the middle. I wanted to add some texture. Now you can leave that middle part just plain white. Me, I want to add this texture for some reason today. I'm just going over and making like scribbles in here. All right. I'm going to add some details like this, adding lines. That. That. No, I forgot to add leaves on that side. All right, now we need to add some drop shadows. Before I let you go, let's add some drop shadows in here. Now you may want to choose just a light, the blue, the light indigo that we used in here. You know what? I think I'm going to try and use the light indigo for the word bunny in here. Okay, this is what I always share when we're doing drop shadows. Choose just one side. That is a secret. There's no other thing. Just choose one side, whether it's on the left side of each of your letter or the right side. So don't do, for example, you did the left in here, don't do right to your loves, you know, so just choose one. All the letters, all the words will have to use just one side. So I'm going to use here the light indigo. I'm going to add to my left side of my letter. I'm just going over like that. So left side, this one, that. I'm just going to add here. So my bunny also, I'll add it to the left side of the bunny. The left side over here, left side of the stroke. That's it. Here, here, to here, this one, left side, and then the left, right? And so you do the same, repeat that same process. I want to show you the yellow against the purple. Again, left, because I chose left, so everything has to be on the left. So the inside, this is the left part, like that. So this one also, and this, and here. But again, before I leave you guys, we want to say thank you to everyone for joining us today. It's been a great pleasure creating with you. It's always super fun doing these classes because it's not just you that's learning. I'm always learning as I'm going along because when I'm teaching things, I have to learn the basic again to kind of like find a very minimal approach to how we can learn it together, you know? So, but thank you so much, guys, for joining us today. If you created something with us, I would love to see them. If you would please tag us, make it with Michael's hashtag Faber-Castell. And you can always tag me. I'm on social media also. Stay in touch. I am at Mommy Lay. But that was super fun. I hope that that was really fun for you guys also. Thank you so much, Mary. Thank you, Robin. Thank you, Alina. Thank you, Judith. Thank you, everyone. I can't thank everyone, but I'll see you again next week. Don't forget to sign up for the next class because that's going to be super fun also. I can't wait to see you again. So see you guys next week. Bye.